But first mistake is new boat owners that we just made.
Beneath the shadows of this quiet town, I see you there, your feathers on the ground. Your eyes are heavy with the weight of the world. What's in a life you never could offer? Even if you've never flown before, you can take a chance and try once more. Don't let your worries weigh you down, down, down. You can still take flight.
So Michaela, why are we stuck on a mooring wall?
Because we're so brand new to sailing that our insurance won't let us sail without a captain.
We have like a little disclaimer in our insurance policy that's fun to read. It's like, you need to have 50 hours signed off by a captain if you want to be able to take your boat out by yourselves. And that has to be like, the captain has to be like pre-approved by the insurance, and then I think generally they just need a captain's license. So we're kind of stuck until we can find somebody to help us get through that.
First, well, not major, but first mistake is new boat owners that we just made.
So we actually had 4 lines on the mooring ball because we had like 50-mile-an-hour winds coming through Miami. So the previous captain, this was like right when we were buying the boat, helped us set up 4 lines to make sure like things would be stable. And then we just haven't touched them because we haven't been able to move the boat. But then today we woke up and the lines were just so twisted around the mooring ball. And of course we didn't record any of it because we were like a little panicked as we kind of like realized that, oh shoot, that looks very tangled. You can kind of see, this is how it's supposed to look, where the mooring ball then has a bunch of line over to this red floating hook guy, then boom, to our boat.
But instead of that distance, the mooring ball was like right on top of the hook where all the lines were attached because it just kept twisting around.
I think they just kind of like got crossed over each other. And then it just totally wrapped around the mooring ball. And because they just sit there, they're just covered in like barnacles or muscles or whatever. So they're super sharp. So this guy, you can see, got like a little chafed, but not so bad. But this thing just really took the brunt of it and just totally destroyed.
New lesson learned today.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's like, maybe we just had to check it maybe closer in the morning. Maybe it's been that way like a day. I'm not sure. But we promised to show like the bad parts to the previous owners as we recorded this all. And you know, I don't think anything bad happened. You know, it's like all we had to do was...
Thankfully our neighbor let us know.
Yeah, we had a neighbor who was like, your mooring ball looks a little funny. I tried to like use the boat hook to like move things around and it was just not even close to enough. So I got to go for a nice cold swim.
Thankfully the mooring ball is not so bad. This marina is not bad in general.
Yeah, I'd say we kind of lucked out in the fact that like the previous owner was able to grab this mooring ball. It's only like $400 a month to be in Miami, which is like
very affordable.
A steal.
Especially
like,
for Miami, yeah.
Everything in Miami is so expensive, and to like have a place to stay for $400 a month, and it includes like parking and a shower and garbage and mail. Like, it's been kind of great. But it is like a little sad that like when the weather gets bad, it gets like super uncomfortable. We've had to leave the boat a couple times because it's just like you get a ton of wind from the east, at least in this marina, and then it's like just kind of miserable.
Yeah, so we've had a couple bad storms roll through that we ended up getting off the boat for a couple days.
And like ideally we would just be able to move the boat to like the other side of the bay and then we wouldn't have to get off, but
alas, here we are.
Alas, here we are. So Sync's not draining the best, so we're just gonna take a quick peek and see if maybe it's just some hair in the drain, something like that. We got a bucket. You case it's gross stuff in there. And yeah, let's just take it apart quick. Okay, so it looked like there was water still in this pipe, which makes me kind of think the clog might be a little further down. Well, let's also just clean it while we have it all together, off together. Oh, that'll probably do some of it too. You know, I said that, but then look at this. Pretty gross, pretty clogged, so maybe this will actually help fix it. I look like a dork with this headlamp on, but man, is it nice to work with. So let's go ahead and put this back together and see if it actually drains now. Oh man, look at that! Boom. And that's how you fix a sink. Very easy fix of a sink.
To use this time wisely, we have been just like trying to get through everything. The previous owners left a lot of stuff, so we've been sorting through what we want to keep and what we want to donate and what's just garbage. And yeah, just trying to get the boat cleaned up and ready. There's a lot of projects, it's never ending, so.
I think that's just boat life.
There will always be more projects to be done.
One of the boat projects I've started working on is polishing all of the brass and metals around the boat. Feel free to comment and let me know if you think I'm crazy for doing this when I know we'll have to keep doing it over and over. But it makes me happy to see them bright and shining. And honestly, I think it makes it feel a little bit more like a home in here. Obviously, I'm speeding up and cutting this footage, but this took a long time, and there's so much more to do on the boat. I am starting to wonder if I'm in over my head. I also made a mistake. This is when I noticed that the Brasso and the toothbrush were hurting the finish on the wood, so I started taping up this paper like a crazy person. It was more work, but it did help with the mess.
We've been just trying to get settled into the boat and get it prepped and ready. Our big dream here is to take some boating lessons, get signed off for our insurance, and then head to the Bahamas for like a month.
Yeah, if we could go to the Bahamas for a month, that would be like a dream come true. I mean, everything I've seen, like all of my sailboat aspirations, everything that's led me to buying this, it was like destined to go to the Bahamas, hang out in the Caribbean. So we have to go, that's like a more insurance stuff, is like we have to be above this certain like parallel by I think like June 1st or July 1st, I'll have to double check, because of hurricane season. Like we don't have a hurricane policy to be south of that, which means that we have to go north up into the Chesapeake Bay or up to New England or New York. We have no idea yet.
We don't know where we're going yet.
We could spend like a little bit of time in the Bahamas and not just have to go straight up the East Coast. I would be so hyped. But that means we have to like get a couple more things done, like provision the boat and learn how to check into a new country.
Yes, we've never done that before.
Or at least not on a boat.
True. When we've flown to new countries tons of times, but we've never brought our home to a new country. That'll be interesting.
Yep.
Like I said before, we're trying to get through everything that the previous people left behind, clean, and organize ourselves back into the space. Something a friend told us that we keep repeating to each other is, everything you do on the boat, you're gonna have to do at least twice. Which can feel a little frustrating, but also gives me some peace of mind that nothing has to be perfect the first time I do it. Well, it would only make sense for our mooring ball to get tangled twice in the same video, right? Thankfully this time it wasn't bad and Patrick just took the dinghy over to untangle it again. A hero.
Just like that.
Alright, hold on, I still got the rope.
I feel like we've adjusted pretty well.
Speaking of adjusting well, I do think that doing van life before boat life was a huge plus for us, because like worrying about like the battery bank and our water supply and all of those little details we've already done before.
Yeah.
I think if you jumped straight into living on a boat full time, having never dealt with any of that, it would be very overwhelming.
Yeah, it's kind of strange like when you have to like live with very minimal water.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've talked to a couple other people. Like in our van we had a 30-gallon water tank, and we could stretch that like for 10 days, just about. You need like a gallon of water per person, generally like per day I think. But you also need to like do dishes and other random stuff that requires like a little bit of water.
Shower.
We
didn't
is
really,
nice.
but
but this boat, I think we have like 125 gallons of water, so it's like making it rain.
yeah, we've got so much water now.
And we have a water maker, so we don't even have to like go find water.
Yeah,
we can just make it.
We can make water.
So that's pretty sick. But there's been people we've talked to who are like, oh yeah, we have a 100-gallon tank, but we have to like make water or fill up water every like 4 or 5 days. And we're like you can live with us.
we're judgmental of your water usage.
Yeah.
Don't smell us.
Yeah, just don't smell us. We are getting pretty excited though. We've started looking into like finding people to give us lessons.
Something I wanted to make sure we did before we had a captain come aboard for lessons was change all of these Danish labels to English. That way when others are on board, they can read them. We can't read Danish either, but after being on the boat for a few days, you kind of figure out what everything means.
Thumbnail.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were like one little mustache, but it's like a little black.
No, I wanted you to tell me how much you loved and adored me, not how I have a mustache.
Sometimes you compliment me on my mustache.